Hey guys, Eric Green here out of Jacksonville, Florida. I'm here beside me, below me, wherever is my partner Paul Turner out of the UK. How you doing, Paul?
I'm very well because the sun's shining in the UK and I've just been to the beach.
And we've got Julie either beside or below, or how you doing over there, Julie?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Awesome. Hey guys, so listen, this is going to be, here's the deal. So, I've been making money online for years. I got online in 2008, but prior to getting online, like most stories, and I'm going to be super quick. I failed miserably in the direct sell space. Probably for over 10 years, I was trying to do network marketing. It didn't really work with me. I made a few dollars here and there. And it wasn't until around 2008 I discovered the wonderful world of YouTube and the internet and just blew my mind that I could now go out and try to build and connect with people all over the world and not just, my local city. And that's what started my journey to this online world, right? And since then, I've been able to for a lot of years now, work independently for myself from home, have my own time. But I wasn't technical. I'm still not that technical. Okay. I don't have a degree. I just went to work, after high school. I did go in the military. I was in the Marine Corps Reserves, but I just went to work. And like most people here in America, we just, we go to work. But I always had that burning desire to do something else. And so today we want to really talk about like the real world. Okay. You know how here in the States, Paul, there used to be a show called The Real World that came out and they said, when people, what was the phrase? When people stop being nice and start being real, you kind of see what it's all about. So I think the online internet marketing world shows you a world that really isn't the real world. Okay. It shows you, it feeds into that psychological, all those things where you're gonna leave your job and you're gonna be free and you're gonna travel the world and and that's just not that is a world for some people, right? But a lot of people don't. Well, I don't want that. I just want to be free and take care of my family and that sort of thing. That's why I got involved online to make some extra money. So today we're gonna talk about the real world. Like people struggle out here. People are working full-time jobs. People have other obligations. They're taking care of family. We have no idea how much people have on their shoulders. We really have no idea, right? And what's wild to me is a lot of these people that Paul and I get to meet every single day, while having all this on their shoulders, they're still finding time to build side hustles. They're still finding time to try to generate that secondary income, or they're still focused. It took me, well, I was an overnight success though. You guys have to understand. I was a very unique situation. I literally woke up and like 18 years later, I was a success online. So overnight success, right? It only took me 18 years to start. And by the way, I'd made a lot of money at one point and then crashed and burned and lost almost everything. So we won't get into those stories. But anyway, I'm rambling. I'm gonna pass it to Paul and we're gonna really get into Julie's story. We're working closely with Julie. Paul has known Julie for a long, long time, right? They've never met in person, just like he and I have never met in person. And and Julie has an amazing story, a story probably a lot of you guys can relate to out there, and a lot of us can't relate to, because she she does a lot. She does a lot. So, with that said, I'm going to pass it to you, Paul. Tell us about that, and then let's dig in with Julie.
Well, my bit's pretty simple. I think I can still remember, right, when I was young, primary school, right? So I don't know how old I would have been, probably like 4 or 5, I guess, something like that. I was ill, and I can remember laying on the sofa, my mum looking after me, and there was t television programs on during the day, right? That, and I'm like, well, I'm at school. I can't see these. I miss out on all this good stuff. I can't see this because I have to go to school. And I think that's when it was embedded in me that I didn't want to work for anybody. That said, of course, if you in this society, if you want to pay bills and eat and have a car and do that good stuff, you need money. So of course I got a job. But I always had that resentment that, I was a grown man and yet another grown man or woman would tell me when I could have my lunch, right? And I had what would be considered a pretty good job, although it was like 60 hours a week, and that crushed me, right? So that was always a driver for me, was I didn't necessarily want, they talk about the laptop lifestyle, and I think it kind of does exist, but like Eric was saying, I'm free if I need to go. and take somebody to an appointment, or I'm free if I want to go for a lunch. Like today, we went to a beautiful cafe and we were overlooking the sea. I'm free to do all that, but I still have to work, right? I still have to do something to bring money in. And I don't think there is anything that is truly passive, because even if you have investments, you have to check on them and stuff like that, right? And plus the fact, you know what, it's quite enjoyable doing online marketing, right? Especially when you can just take as much time off as you want. Now, the reason I tell you about that kind of frustration I had, that I couldn't see a television program, that progressed into I couldn't play my guitar when I wanted to, and I couldn't. I love old 80s retro computers and stuff, and I can't just fire up a game of Space Invaders when I want, because I have to go and do this job, right? And then we met Julie, right? And like Eric said, we've known each other for a long time, and Julie's freaking awesome. If we say, right, you want to get a video out, you want to do this, she works more hours than anybody else I know, and yet she does it first, right? So she's very driven. But do you want to talk, introduce yourself, Julie, and we'll get into your schedule, which is like worse than my 60-hour week. You're going to hear it, guys, straight from Julie. So what do you do, Julie?
Well, thanks, Paul. I'm a nurse, and I've been a nurse for 47, almost 48 years. And I have always had to work two jobs, and it is tough. And it's a long hours. I couldn't have predictable hours because I'd have to be on call, coming in extra, filling in at the last minute, even over Christmas. And it's just it just catches up with you after a while. It's like, why am I doing this? Because there is nothing else that you can do. I mean, you're just at the whim of what's going on with your work environment. So that's
So
been really hard.
how many hours, sorry, a day would you work on average?
More than 16, usually about 18.
18 hours a
I,
day.
yeah,
And
I was supposed to get off at like 1 o'clock, and a lot of times I wouldn't get home until 3 or 3:30, get back up and go back to work. And it's like after a while, you lose your identity. You don't even know who you are anymore because you've given up so much of yourself, and you don't know, now what do I do? You know, you're so exhausted, you're numb,
yeah.
absolutely numb.
So I think like me and Eric, we really love Julie, and we've seen Julie like try and escape and put great content out and stuff, but then it would always disappear. Do you want to talk to us about exhaustion and like how difficult it is?
Yeah. I think in nursing today, we normalize being exhausted. I spoke with a young nurse, and she was bragging about how much money she made last year. And I was like, well, how many hours did you work? She said, the hospital's short. I worked 7, 12 hours. I took 5 days off. You took 5 days off and three. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. That's not a life. That's just 12 hours, 14 hours a day, every day. And she was like, that's normalized. And it's like, no, that can't be normal anymore. Exhaustion is, you can't even think. You're just like going like a robot, just going through it. And then you start thinking, well, that's just all there is. It almost becomes like a personality trait to say you're just exhausted.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, it's almost like a badge of honor. Oh yeah, I'm exhausted, I did 7, 12 hours. No, that's not it. And people say, well, that's just nursing right now. Well, we need to normalize that we can have sleep and go out
Yeah.
and have rest and get a massage if we want, or just walk on the beach. For heaven's sakes, why are we so committed that saying we have to cover the shifts?
And
So,
why is it so bad then? How has it got that bad? I mean, it can't be safe for patients, right?
well, I think it's really a difficult time, but I think nurses have learned that there's a lot more out there, and people don't necessarily want to stay at the bedside. There's not really any benefit to stay at the bedside. So young nurses come in knowing that they want to get advanced degrees and be a CRNA, a nurse anesthetist. They want to do a nurse practitioner, but now that's so saturated, nurse practitioners can't even get a job. So they've spent all this money in school, and then they go back and they're still in a trench. They're still deeply entrenched. And now they've got another $50,000 debt because of school. That's crazy. But, and it's hard. Nurses, it's changed so much because patients are sicker because they don't have good insurance or they've lost their insurance. I know at least 5 people, and they're in the hospital because they couldn't get their medicine because they lost their insurance in November, and they're trying to figure out how to get back. And my son lost his insurance, and one med alone was $1,500.
Wow.
Well, if you don't have the ability to pay that, then you do without your medicine. It's either like, do I do eat, pay the rent, keep a house over my head, or do I take the med? Well, the med's always the first to go. And so that's part of it. I think people are sicker, but I think that the world has changed because people are, people are mean, and nurses get beat up every day.
Yeah.
Same
And
here in the
that's,
UK.
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
And, it is a felony today to punch a nurse, but take that to court and they're going to tell you, well, that's part of the job. And it's like, when did we normalize that you could hit me in the face or punch me in the stomach and that was okay?
If you could, if you could like, if you could give, because this is what I always tell my kids now. Because I was a late starter too. I was kind of a late starter before I started, trying to get serious about building something a secondary income. I tell them, I'm like, listen, you're young. You don't have a lot of. You think you have responsibilities, but you don't. So when you see all this money, it's because you have all this other extra money, right? You have all this extra money. You can go take trips, and so those due days off, you can go do things or get your nails done, all that stuff. But when you have a family, then you start having kids, then you're locked in. You are locked in. And then you wake up one day, right? And you're just like, wow, where did the last 25, 30, 40 years go? And it's like, so now you have this opportunity, right? Start building a secondary income. If you have extra money, how can you take that extra money and put it to work for you? How can you start building a side hustle or multiple side hustles? Because this, I mean, and especially with all the opportunities that are out there today, that they can
Right.
do that, so and that's what you're trying to do now and have been trying to do is go, look, I need to have this secondary income, I need to have this, and you understand it. But most people, right, I think either most people don't understand how important it is. They're just kind of like in the, I call the matrix, right, where it's just like you said, you're just on autopilot. This is what I do every day. This is da 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 da, and it's fine at first, but then you're like, okay, this doesn't seem right. And then you start questioning, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, this is where I'm at. This is it. So let's just talk a little bit about that, like what you would tell her.
Oh my goodness, what did I tell her? Not good. I and she hadn't saved much money for retirement, and she's in her 50s. And I was like, no, you got to get on this. But I try to tell every young person, you have to build a secondary income. You cannot just rely on the hospital. You cannot rely on Social Security, for heaven's sakes. And you don't know what life is going to be. You don't know what's going to be in store for you. And like I had no idea late in life I'd have a last child, and he is on the spectrum. He has autism and Tourette's. And it's been a real challenge, but you don't know what you're going to anticipate. And like you said, I can't believe I've been a nurse for this long. I look back at that and say, what in the world happened? Because I remember starting and I remember doing all this, going back, getting my degrees. And I thought, well, that's going to help. That's going to help. And then all of a sudden you realize, damn, I'm 70. I got to get busy here. I got to figure out what to do, because you better not count on Social Security. You better be able to help yourself and supplement your income. So that's what I try to make sure everybody knows. And I think that it gives you something else to attach your identity to. When you're a nurse, you're caring for everybody else. People call you, you're taking care of family, you're taking care of patients, you're taking care of staff, you're hyper responsible. And it's like at some point, you got to just take that step back and say, I don't have to be responsible for everybody. Let me just kind of focus in a minute and see what I can do. But I try to encourage everybody to have a secondary side hustle or whatever you want to call it, and not for anything other than taking care of your family and making a little cushion for yourself so you're not feeling desperate when you get to be 70.
There's that saying, isn't there? Dig your well before you're thirsty.
Oh, isn't that the truth? Yeah, dig the well. Start digging now because you don't know if you're going to be thirsty. You better have a plan.
Well, in the time
Better
of
have
recording.
a
Sorry, sorry.
plan. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
No, what you? I cut you off. What did you say last thing?
I said you better have a plan B. And sometimes you need a plan B and C, and it's just that's okay. I look back at myself over the last 15 years, 10 years, and I built a successful business, but it was a job. I mean, I literally had 3 jobs at that point. And
Wow.
it's like, and traveling all over the state, trying to teach classes and help hospitals and things and I was like, wow, this didn't give me any freedom. This just made another job that I have to get to on time with all my stuff in order. Yeah, that's crazy. So that was
Would you
hard.
say, and I mean, you're building online, and we work with you on a couple different programs. I mean, and you're still trying to get to that level of success that you're trying to get to, like we all have been there, and it's constant. I always say this: it's success. Even with Paul and I, we've had some success, but it's a rented success. Paul and I stopped. And yes, that can go away. So, like you said, when it's Plan B, C, and E, I know that we're always Paul and I know we're always. I think just in general, we're always looking. We're always prepared. What's here? What's there? What's that? We're always thinking about that. But is it because for me, when I was just excited about trying to do, because I think a lot of people are like, you know, they're nervous or I'm not gonna. But there was just something, even when I was making no money and I was failing all those years, there was just something about, but I'm doing this. This is something I'm building. It's like Paul said earlier, this isn't like somebody else's company. This isn't somebody else's, that I'm just a cog in their wheel trying to do this for myself. Like I'm put this is my own effort. I'm creating it from nothing, based on me going out and marketing. And I think there's something to that. Did you feel that way? I'm curious. Or do you feel
Oh,
that way?
yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing that I've learned late in life is that you are so replaceable in a hospital system. I mean, in a New York minute, they will get rid of you because there's somebody else who's cheaper than you. Guarantee that, you know, with less experience and less expectation. So yes, for me, I always wanted to have something that was mine that nobody could take away. Not I could have my own email list. I could create content. I could create opportunity for myself. That to me is, I mean, because nurses do that all the time. We do that. Um, we teach and we show people and we try to invent new ways that people can take care of themselves. And so I think nurses naturally are good entrepreneurs because they have this spirit and they are indestructible. I'm beginning to think nurses are indestructible. They are just like, they are so, they persevere under, difficult, expectations a lot of times. So, but yeah, for me, I wanted to have more. I wanted to know that I could leave a legacy built on what I did, because there's not a legacy if you just work for the hospital or you work for, home health or whatever. You have to build it yourself.
I also think
Now you've
nurses,
mentioned
because
you've built a list and you've done content. You've mentioned like you know talk about that. I mean, you've learned. I know sometimes you sit back and you go, "Oh, there's still so much to learn, and I need to do this." But you realize that you are doing things that scare the hell out of new people. When you say build a list, they don't even know what you're. A lot of people don't even know what you're talking about. A lot of it. What does that mean? Or even putting content out, putting your own. Especially now, the Gen X and baby boomers are terrified to put their self on camera, and there's ways to do it now, faceless, but like you've done that, you've put yourself out there. Like, how was that difficult? Was it scary? What was the journey there with that?
Yeah, it is difficult and it can be scary because people can be mean and they'll say mean things to you, but it doesn't matter. You just need to get over that and just let it run like water on a duck. It just flow off because you have to realize the why. Keep that always in the back of your mind. Why are you doing this? Why are you putting up with this? And so for me, I'm not techie at all. It takes me, if some people can do it in 20 minutes, I swear it takes me 20 hours. And I have to redo and redo. And so, but I think the more you do it, and what I've been doing is just turning on my phone and talking to myself, just getting used to that. You don't have to publish it. But once you do about 100 hours, you start being more comfortable, you know. But just turn it on when you're driving to work and just talk. What's going on? What are you thinking about? And so that's helped me tremendously, is to just practice speaking. Because once you put that camera on and you go live, it's like, holy moly, that is intimidating. But the more you can practice, the better it is. But
Are
yeah,
you
it's
somebody that watches your videos back over and over?
oh, over and over and critique it.
Okay,
I'm a bigger critique than anybody.
I'm gonna tell you, like, I for me, I did that in the like I did that in the beginning. I was like, oh, I look weird, my tooth looks weird, my this looks weird, oh, I look whatever. All those things, right? But then one day I just stopped doing that. I just literally would record something and I would just upload it. I didn't watch it back. And there were times I was like, let me go watch this back. And then I'd want to delete it. So I just didn't
Yeah,
even watch it. You hear about actors, and it's funny because they're like, some actors don't even watch the films they're in.
yeah,
They don't. Have you watch your own film? Like, no, I participated in it. I don't want to watch it. You know what I mean? Like, even I mean, there are stories of big actors who are, I mean, they're famous and they don't like to see themselves on screen, right? They just pick themselves apart. But, and that's easier said than done. But when I started doing that, it was freeing. And honestly, the greatest thing about marketing, especially now, is we don't have to train ourselves to be ourselves. We've been ourselves our whole lives. So if we
yes,
just get on and talk, probably you have footage on the stuff that you've never uploaded that is absolute pure gold, right? Pure
yeah,
gold that people can relate to and, relate to you, relate to your story. So, I mean, that would be a big thing, not to go into like a coaching, mentoring thing, but like that would be a big flip to switch. And I don't know about you, Paul. I mean, I think Paul like on video. I'm just like all over the place, but Paul's great on video, right? But I
No,
don't think you were always great on video, Paul. I remember you back in the day. So
my,
well, how was that for you?
well, do you remember our friend Sarah? She went back and she went to our YouTube and she found our earliest videos and like, I think I forgot my name on one video. The thing is, people think that you're being judged by other people and you're not. And I heard something once that really sort of really hit it home for me is like, um, you really want people to look at you and go, well, I could do better than that.
yes,
Yeah, that's really what you want, and if I do like a 3D graphic logo flying in from the left, and there I am in a shiny suit and a professional mic, and well, I've combed what's left of my little hair, and stuff. People are like, well, I could never do that, but if you're just real, people can relate to you. So that kind of hit home for me. And it was like, oh yeah, right. So I do want people to think. I put posts out with spelling mistakes all the time, and I know they're there. I leave them. I don't care. I honestly don't care, and it's not hurt my business. Me and Eric, we've done very well. We're together, and we're helping Julie now. Getting in on the deal, as it were. To teach her what we're doing and stuff. So, but it just amazes me how people stress so much and they get into like a home-based business or a side hustle and they're like, yeah, I don't want to do it on my Facebook. I just don't want my friends and family to know. And I don't want to put my face on camera. And I don't really want to do this. And I don't want to do. And it's like if you opened a restaurant and you didn't tell anybody. If you opened a restaurant at the back of a shop somewhere and you didn't want to put a sign out because you didn't want to let anybody know you were doing it, and you don't want your friends and family to know you had this restaurant, how long do you think that restaurant is going to last as a business? And that always kind of confused me because you just need attention. You need, and I promise you, Julie, the more you do, you find people that are like, oh, what an idiot. What's she doing now? Why is she doing this? Oh, that's stupid. She's a nurse. She's got a good job, and we just heard the reality of that good job, no time. And then what happens though is they watch and they go, she's still doing it. She's still doing it. Why is she doing this rubbish still? Right. And then it starts to go, well, maybe I'm missing out because she's still doing it. What's going
yeah,
on? What's going on? Right. And then it's like, Julie, I always knew it would work. Tell me, send me a link, tell me what it is. And that happens all the time. The thing is, where Julie has struggled with the sort of sheer exhaustion and time is actually getting the consistency. But now with the tools that we've got now, we're overcoming that, aren't we? So, um, what do you focus on to promote at the minute then, Julie?
Well, I do the HBA, which they have developed into a turnkey system, which was so exciting to me because it gives me a little bit of breathing room as I continue to come back and to do, do the things I need to do and to show and help people think about an option. And so I love that. It's performing very well. And I was like so excited to hear about it. I had to just jump back in because I took a hiatus. I
Yeah.
was like, I was so exhausted. I didn't know what to do. So now that's up and running and I'm back in and that's exciting. And then the next thing is the Exodus Elite, which to me um, is a kind of a medium ticket investment. And it's like, again, it's a system that can help produce more quickly than some. The thing for me, I didn't want to do anything that I had to buy product from. I didn't want, because you end up with more product. I've done that. And in order to meet your quota, you have to spend this much money. And by the end of 6 months,
Yeah.
you have 16 things on your shelves and you'll think, well, let me give this away to somebody because I'll
Yeah.
never be able to use this before it expires. So it's just a matter of I didn't want anything like that. And so I needed a system. That's the thing. Systems work, people fail. I needed a system that was in place and being successful for others. If I see everybody else doing it, I'm like, dang, I can do that.
Yeah, so why don't we talk about systems a little bit then? So, if you're on a job now and you're working 8, 9 hours a day, you're still going to tell me you're busy because it's like a badge of honor. Oh, I'm so
Yeah.
busy. And it's like, yeah, but is that really what you want? Well, no, but I'm so busy, I can't possibly do something that could set me free because I'm so busy. So you're going to be stuck forever. So, um, you haven't even really seen properly the new inviter yet. But while we've been talking, my auto inviter has sent out a message to somebody, and I've had somebody else reply to a message that it sent out earlier. So while what Julie's working a 16-hour day, we now have something that will the system can invite people to see itself. It's like the snake that eats its own tail. So that's got to be an attractive thing, right, for people that are busy, if you can relate to Julie. Okay, and then the other thing, they said this great quote. It's like it only took us 10 years to figure out that people really like simple. Right? 10 years they've been doing this great stuff, and then it's like now when Julie said it's turnkey, you can check it out. Be like there'll be a link I'm sure around here, right? If you're watching this, but the way to your freedom, guys, is the system. So now you don't have to set anything up. The tech overwhelm has gone. There's no tech stuff, for Julie. So why that particular, I'm not saying the name of it, that's not for this call, but why the one beginning with H?
Oh,
No, it's all good. Why that one in terms of like the what it can do for your income?
well, the company itself pays 80%. It feeds hungry children. And
Yeah.
if I can make an effort and help others, that's even a bonus. But I think that it's a company that's principle led. They lead by principles. And you every single day, companies are closing, and it's people have invested a lot of time and effort into it, and then it's gone. I wanted something that had been around for a while, that they're committed to everyone that comes in. And I think that's what led me back to that.
And Julie, I was going to say, you really, with the amount of hours you work and how busy you are, and this would apply to anybody out there that's really busy or has a lot going on. You really don't have a choice but to find a great turnkey system because you
Yeah.
don't have time during the day to get on and answer people's questions, follow up with them. You mentioned earlier about product deals, and I had done that in the past years ago, right, with network marketing. And the thing that when they start asking me about products or what's ingredients are in there, they've lost me. And I'm not a professional health or guy, none of that. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. Watch the video, you know what I mean? And so with a lot of these systems or programs out there, it requires you to do a lot of the stuff that we don't want to do. We just want to go market and promote. We want the system to answer their questions, follow up with them. We want the owners and the people that own the company and the system. We want them to provide training weekly and take care of that customer. But a lot of these deals out here, it's not like that. You got to answer all their questions, follow up. You got to, in many cases, you're doing support, and it's insane. And I was going to say, there's no way with your schedule that you could, even have an opportunity to have success in anything other than a turnkey, right?
Right. That's how I feel. I can't tell you how many nurses just tell me, well, I'm just stuck. And we can't say that. We can't just hold up our arms and say we're stuck. And that's why when I really started going, saying, I just got to get back, this is it. I can't keep doing this. They asked me the other day how long I intend to work. And I said, well, I guess I'm going to work until I pass away. The bottom line is, but what you really want to do is create other systems. You don't want to create the system. You want to join a system. You want to join a community. And that's the other thing that I love, is that the community that's been built, that you guys have built, is unbelievable. And just so much support and so much encouragement. And so I think that's important. If you're going to join a company, you better join something that has community already built in, because you don't want to be doing this alone. You really don't.
Well, one of the reasons we use what we use is because they go live 5 days a week. So there's like, and they're interactive as well. So you get people that have made, let's say significant amount of money, on in this online opportunity, and they show you what they do, how they do it basically, and you get to ask questions. So we really like that, including, I always say, the what's working now call on a Monday night is gold. Have you seen the last one of those? That No, actually the one before was better. The thing is, because it's like people that have made sales in the last 7 days, you never know what you're going to get. And so they get them on and they say, how did you make these sales in the last 7 days? So you get people doing all sorts of strategies, and sometimes it's like, not for me. Sometimes it's like, oh, I'm definitely doing that, But if you haven't seen it, Julie, watch the one, not this week, not this Monday, watch the one before. It's really good, all based on YouTube and stuff, and but
Yeah.
so talking to systems, let's talk about the other one then, the mid ticket thing. So the first one we talked about is a monthly recurring, guys. So that's like whether you work or not, the money comes in. And like I said, nothing's truly passive, is it? But you still have to check in your investments and things. But this one is basically that. You still have to check in. But if you do the work, customer pays monthly, your bills are monthly, should have monthly. So what's the big draw with the system on the mid ticket then? Because that might take a bit more explaining. How are you going to deal with that?
Well, again, I think that there are systems in place. What I love about it is that they have sections in your dashboard of tools that you can use, things that are ready. And so you're not reinventing every single thing. When I had my own business, I had to do everything, my sign up sheets, any little advertisement, every booklet I had to produce all that. That takes, 20 hours for each class you do. And
Wow.
so that was the other thing, is that's the other thing that's so exciting for me, is that so much of this is done. They offer you tools to get leads. They offer you marketing tools. It's just, to me, that's the same kind of thing. Things are ready for you, and you can just blast them out until you can figure out how to do a little bit more yourself. And I think that's helpful, because
I'm
you don't
guessing
have
one of
time.
the I'm guessing one of the big draws is going to be the support line, the sales team.
Yeah. And that's the first thing I signed up for. I said, I do not have time to talk to people. And so I signed up for, my leads will go directly to the support team, and they will handle everything. And for me, that is golden. That's just golden. It's like bonus in your pocket. You
So
have
you're
a
telling
whole bunch of people.
so you're telling me you work 16 hours a day, but you can get some ads running, and if people respond to the ads, they go into the turnkey system, and if the people have questions, they don't call you, they call the sales team.
Exactly. Exactly. And how exciting is that? Like, I can still work my hours, and I know that people are working, helping me succeed.
More of a
That's
franchise setup,
Well,
I always think
it
of that.
sounds like a franchise, right? So it's already set in place, has everything in place. You when you say employees, it has that. It has the sales team. They close it, has the system. It does everything. They even show you where to go find the customers, where to get leads and that sort of thing. So it's a franchise. So why do this instead of going and buying a McDonald's or something?
Oh, lands. I don't want another job. I don't want to have to own employees. I don't want to pay $100,000 for a business opportunity. You know, I mean, that's the
Which
thing.
I think it's probably like 500,000 now or something, or 250,000. I don't know. I can't remember what the McDonald's franchises are. So you didn't pay that much for the one you're in.
Oh, heck no, no. And it's
Okay.
it's like, it's a small investment, but I look back at what even my master's cost me $50,000.
Whoa.
That is a lot of money. And then your secondary degree if you're baccalaureate. I mean, it's like I have invested a lot in my development, in my way that I approach nursing. And it's the same way with your business. I have always invested in more education. It's the same thing. You have to be willing to invest a little bit in yourself. So, but yeah, I didn't want to spend 100,000, 200,000, half a million. I want to spend a little bit. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah.
Well, and you say a little bit, but this company also, what's the commit you make? You said 80% on the other. I would imagine a mid ticket or higher ticket, what do you make? 50% commission? What do you make on with this deal?
No, I mean, because I'm doing where the team helps me, um, I get 80%. They take 20
Wow.
and see, that's you pay an admin fee to join the company, and then you pay X amount to sell, but that comes directly to you. That doesn't go into the company, that goes directly to you. And so that's pretty awesome.
So how
And does
much
that
does it?
come to you? A
How
lot
much
of
do
these
they charge you for?
programs,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead,
I
Eric.
was going to say a lot of these programs sometimes, it takes a week, 2 weeks. What's the pay scale? If I came in and wanted to buy into this, mid-ticket sort of digital franchise you have, and I pay today, when do you actually get your commission?
When someone joins you, I mean, it comes to you as soon as
So
they
it's
pay.
instant. So you make that. So as soon as I join you get that money.
Yeah, they
That's
have
yeah.
ways that you can do that. You can send invoices. They have all the pay ways that you can go on, and that's all in your back office. And as soon as somebody joins, they get access. They pay you. It comes directly to you. It comes into your Venmo, comes into your PayPal, whatever you've set at Cash App. And like, wow, you don't have to handle any of that. That's pretty awesome.
And are these the type of commissions that that it could help you out? I mean, what I mean, give us an idea of what types of how much some of those commissions could be.
Well, up to $2,000 minus the 20%, right?
Wow.
That's a lot of money. I mean, when you look at my son, one prescription, that insurance I'm fighting to get is $1,500 a month for 30 pills. Can you imagine if I could get two people a month? That's huge for me. That's huge. That I could get meds that he needs. And it's like, that's that to me, I just shake
That's
my head. It just seems like that can't be real, but it is real. And
yeah.
you need to understand that you don't know what's coming. You better have a secondary plan because you don't know what's behind the next door. And I've never been one to be fearful. I just keep opening doors. I'm going to open doors until I can't open them anymore. We always laugh about it and we'll say we'll be on our walker with a Foley and we'll still be working out there because we are so committed to to being a nurse, to helping others. Nurses serve all the time, and it's like, yeah, that to me is absolutely mind blowing because look how many shifts I'd have to do to pay for that medicine. I mean, and that's partly why I've always had to work two jobs. Is that you know
Well, how many hours would you have to work roughly to make that then to buy that medicine?
uh, probably two shifts, two 12 hours.
So you have to work 24
So
hours.
you're telling.
Wow.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go for it, Eric.
I was going to say, you're telling me then you could get to work, sit in your car, point the phone at yourself and say, hey, here's a quick little thing about me. If you're interested in a great, looking for some side income or a way to make some extra money, blah, 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 whatever it is, right? You can do that, upload, go in, do your long shift. You're exhausted, you're tired. Someone sees that video and they click the link and they go, okay, yeah, I've been watching Julie, I can relate to her. I'm in the medical field, whatever. Click on it, they go, it's a turnkey system, right? They get all the information on the system and then they're interested and they're like, oh, wait, there's an 800 number here. Let me call. That doesn't go to you. That goes to your sales team. Your
Yep.
sales team says, da, 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 answers their questions. Oh, yeah, Julie. Yeah, she's one of our reps. She's great. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, they're interested. Then they're like, I'm in, and they go on. You're still at work, hanging out, doing working hard. They go in, they pay their admin fee. They pay you directly, right? For the
Yes.
franchise, right? And then they start their process with this deal, and you get a notification, right? That you just
Yeah.
made $1,000 or $2,000 less than 20%
Yes.
for reaching to your phone and doing a 20-second video that you post on
Right.
social media.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that happens all the time, but I'm saying that's a reality. You might have to do a 15-second, 20-second video 3 times a day for a month, 2 months, but that's 15 seconds compared to this shift. The shift, if we did 115-second videos, I don't know how many minutes that would be or hour, but it's a lot less than that
Yes.
one shift you're on that night that's 16 hours, isn't it?
Right.
That's what's crazy to me is why not have, I don't think people understand that these things are even available to them. And now with technology and everything and social media, they don't have to spend hours and hours and hours like you did with your business going around teaching. You had to create all the marketing material, you had to set up the business, you had to answer questions, then you had to train, teach, and you see what I mean? So give me your thoughts on that.
Oh yeah. I look back on, the early days of me trying to do a business, and honestly, because it ended up with you had a lot of expense because you had to have pre-expense. You had to buy whatever product you were going to do, all the anything that you had to get ready, all came out of your pocket. And sometimes by the end of everything, by the time you pay a hotel, and your money was not very much. I hate to even say sometimes what I got paid at the end of a 2 day conference. And so for me, being able to, and really being able to kind of replace one shift would be amazing to me. That you could just start letting people know about it, this system, and then get paid. And it's like, that's a shift that I don't have to pick up anymore. I can't tell you how many days I've sat in my car and just said, I don't know that I can do this anymore. I just don't know I can do it. I'm so tired and so tired of it. And I'm tired of the politics and tired of everything you have to put up with. And that's why I think I'm so motivated to let people know about this and to do it, because I feel like I'm the biggest loser, right? I've never been greatly successful, but I feel like, man, if I can just tell people, one shift, think how much lighter you would feel going into work that night if you knew on your phone that you got $800 sent to you because someone bought into the system. You know, that's amazing to me. Or 1600, it just doesn't matter where they come in. When you have something like that where you can get money for very little, I mean, it takes effort. You have to keep working on
Yeah.
things, but it's not coming in and grinding through another 12, and you never work 12 hours. The other day, people didn't come in to work, so you end up staying. It was, you're supposed to get off at 7. It was 8:30. People don't come in, or they find out somebody didn't show up at the last minute and they pull people, so you have to rearrange everything. It's like, I don't think people realize what the opportunity is, that, and I hear nurses say, I'm just stuck, this is what I've done. You have to reframe your identity of who you are, and that's important. So
I always think of you, Julie, when we'll show somebody like maybe how to upload a video or use AI to come up with some prompts for social media posts, and they go, "This is hard work." And I always think of Julie, and it's like, yeah, compared to being a nurse, compared to being like a coal miner, I used to stack shelves in a supermarket. I mean, even that sometimes we have to deal with short staffed, and you still got to open
Yeah.
the store on time, and things like that. And Eric selling office equipment, which is a glamorous job. I mean, obviously, as we all know, traveling, selling fax machines and printers and photocopiers. But I always think of that. So, if you're watching this, and you're like, well, I don't have time and I'm not sure I can do it. It's hard. Think if, especially if you're a nurse, just relate it to what job you do though, because it's not actually that hard. It's just new. People are like, oh, it's so hard. It's not. It's just new. Every job you start is hard when you start it. I don't know any jobs that are like maybe ice cream tasting in an ice cream factory, maybe ice cream taster. Maybe that's an easy job, but I don't know if they still do that. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, what else do we want to cover? I think we kind of got the got the sort of
Well, the
flow
only
here,
thing
haven't we?
I'll close out here is I just think people, when you say, maybe you're not where you want to be yet with the online side, you're still a what I would call a one percenter in you know the everyday life of people who are in the workforce. I mean, you have a master's degree plus. How many people have that have even accomplished that? You have built your own side business when you should have traveled around. So how many people in the medical field and the nursing field have built a secondary side business, a real, your own business while you're doing all that? You've cared for and taken care of people for 50 plus years. If I'm assuming it's around that. So,
Yeah.
but what strikes me is what I hope people are listening to you. What strikes me the most is you're saying, because at the end of the day, you could, they put you on stage and they go, well, they start walking through all your accomplishments. She got into nurse, and so everyone's sort of clapping and applauding, and you've done all these things. You have this resume, right? That's amazing when you're talking about the workforce, but yet you're trying to tell everybody out there, wait, guys, it's not exactly what you see here. That you know what I mean? Like I wish I would have, and I am now, started building these secondary incomes, building these things that maybe potentially I could have, maybe left, or I have all this stuff in work so I can just retire and know that I have, something other than Social Security, which is sorry, it's a joke here in the US. There's nobody that, unless you're going to live with family, there's nobody that can live here on, with our economy on just Social Security, what they give you. It's insane. So that's what strikes me the most, Julie. So over to you on that.
I look back, I don't know. I was nominated for the Great 100, which is like a lifetime honor of commitment to nursing. And I look back on that and I think, I it just doesn't mean as much, I suppose, to me, because I think about how much I gave up. I gave up so much with my family, with my children, missing games, missing Christmas, missing Thanksgivings. I think I only had two Thanksgivings off in like 30 years. That's amazing to me that I was willing to sacrifice that. And how many times you are made to feel guilty if you don't come in. They they text you until finally you say yes, okay, I'll come in. But you don't come in because you want to. You come in because you've been grinded down. And to me, I'm tired of being grinded. I want to get out there and build people up and build nurses up and build young nurses. I don't care who you are. I want to help people just get beyond going in for it. And they say 9 to 5. Nurses don't have that. You're working 14 hours. Every day you have a 12-hour shift. That's just a given. And the last place I worked, they told me I had to come in a half an hour early to make sure I was ready for the day. Not to punch in, couldn't get paid, but come in so you can get ready for the day. And I'm like, I am not doing that. I'm not. I'm done. It's time to move on and do the other things that are going to give you what you need to take care of you and to take care of your family. That's
Well,
it.
I think nurses, they always care for people and sometimes forget they are people themselves. So
Oh, yeah.
they need the
Yeah.
care as well. That's the twist. And I just worked it out, on the first the first thing we talked about, Julie, you could cover that medical bill with as few as 12 happy customers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
You know,
amazing.
because
That's
that's recurring, though that's like one thing ticked off, and then you get your 800, your $1,600 come in. That's another month ticked off. And between
yeah,
the two, between the
right.
two,
I could sleep at night, not worrying, how am I going to get that medicine? He's going to be out on Wednesday. How am I going to get it? Because I don't know too many people that just keep $1,500 in their pocket all the time,
no.
ready. And another medicine's 350. So that's like, you have to think ahead. You don't know what's coming up the door. So yeah, I'm committed. I am determined. And I think if there's anything I have, it's being persistent. I'm like a bad rat or something, or a bad penny. I just keep showing up, keep trying to learn, keep trying to build myself, because that's what it takes. It just takes being committed to it.
Julie, you're an inspiration. You are, seriously, because you do. And like me and Eric will sometimes say, whenever we give somebody some guidance and say, guys, you should do this, Julie works the most hours out of anybody we know, and she's always the first one to get it done. She might be tired on it, but she does it.
Yeah. I might look
Right.
like I need a couple nights sleep.
Yeah, no, 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 no. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. I know how many hours you work. I am only
Mm.
joking. Right. So, right. Well, I think that's it. Unless anybody else wants to say anything, we'll call it there. So, Julie, that was awesome. What would you say to anybody looking at the opportunities? What would you say
I'm
to
sorry,
them?
what?
What would you say to anybody looking at the opportunities that are wondering if they
Oh,
should click the link or not?
don't wait. Get started. Hit the button. Don't think. Don't overthink. Take action today. Make yourself happy. Take action.
Love it. All right, we'll end it there. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Julie. Great to have you on.
Thank you guys. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.